Right. Hi, Michelle. Good morning.
Hey Steve, how's it going?
Good, good. Well, just so you know, Michelle, but so everybody else here knows, I am the incoming president for our ICF Sacramento chapter. And so I'm here to chat with you today. So you want to just tell everybody who you are?
Sure. And I appreciate it, by the way. So I'm Michele Smith, and I think I'm CEO of Better Possibilities, which is my company. So I'm CEO and administrative assistant and the executive
Oh boy,
coach and the
yeah.
facilitator and the doer of all stuff. And, as you're a one deep organization. But I have a passion around executive coaching, leadership development, facilitation, change management, and in a nutshell, is just helping people be just the most that they can be. And a lot of it is just getting unstuck and out of our own way. And so I think that's probably who I am. I mean, I've got this history of healthcare and finance background and everything else, but I don't know that that's relevant.
Today, this is who you are.
Yeah,
Coaching is
for this
you.
audience. Well, the thing is, the interesting part about it is we bring all of what we've experienced and done and skill sets to who we are in the present moment. So I may go off on in coaching or in different areas. I got certified with John Maxwell team. So those resources, that content, disc consulting, and then also attended Tony Robbins events. And so that stuff tends to come into my coaching. With just results stuff and everything else. And so it is a mixed bag of tricks. And I think a lot of it is just whatever I can do to connect to other people. So if there's information or stuff I've learned, it's like, let me bring it forward and see if this works for you. I went through the PQ coaching program too, Shirzad.
Yes, I'm doing it right now, Michelle. So I'm in my empathy.
Yeah.
So this is perfect. I'm empathizing with you.
And so that 6-week program, that was so funny. I did an offsite and someone else came in and actually did training around positive intelligence, right? PQ being, of course, the emotional intelligence or the positive intelligence quotient. And so he came in and it was so funny to talk to somebody with the same lingo and the PQ reps that you do and everything else. And he said, well, you attended the program. He said, which one? And I said, well, I don't remember. It was several weeks. He goes, I think it's just 6 weeks. And I said, only? I said, it felt longer. But those learnings too. I mean, the whole, rub your fingers together. And it's all about redirecting your brain and getting control again in the moment. 100%. So I think it's all those little things that for me, I'm a connector to where I can connect that information, those tricks to other people.
The connector. Is that a strength? I mean, strength finder is the other thing that comes in, right? I
haven't done that.
Okay. Well, so, connector is one of my strengths. It's actually one of the strengths that it's like, it's not the strongest, but it's the one I feel the strongest about. Yeah,
there's passion behind there.
Yeah.
And then, exactly. Well, and it's like John Maxwell. So I went through UC Davis professional life coaching program, right? And then certified through ICF, did ACC, and then more recently PCC, and I think I'm good. But for me, it's about, there's so many amazing coaches out there and other people that you can learn from. And so Valerie Burton is the coaching program person within John Maxwell team. And so I went through her program. And even though Lori Cozart, another coach, who's amazing, and some others have talked about values, and Jen Anderson is another one, that talks about values. For some reason, I think what happens is when we're learning, we max out at certain points, right? It's like, okay, you take that nugget and then people share all this other stuff and it just goes somewhere. So when I went through with Valerie's, the highlight that she had was around values and connecting, making sure that your goals and aspirations are grounded and connected to your values. And it just really hit me to where when you go and say, think about what's a goal that you have, and that you think about that goal for a minute. And then the next question you ask is, what does that goal say about your values, about what you value?
Yeah.
And I never looked at it that way. And the reality of it is, if it doesn't speak to what you have, what adjustments can you make to it? Because the likelihood of you achieving and sustaining whatever that is not real strong if you're not grounded in who you truly are.
Yeah.
So that's my dog barking, the other one.
That's
So
it's okay.
this is just
So-
authentic life coming into the.
Yeah, 100%. So what
Yeah.
I'm curious about then is, all these different tools and things, do you feel like there's a coaching superpower that you have, Michele?
Yeah, that's a superpower. Almost feels like, hold on. I don't know that I'm going to stop him because the yard guys are out front.
Okay.
And I did a podcast the other day that he just barked through it and we just left it.
We don't even hear it. We don't even hear
This
it.
is post-COVID.
Yeah.
So it's interesting when I think about superpower because I think about putting a cape on and I try not to be the hero of that kind of thing. I think the thing for me is and I know as coaches we're supposed to lead with this, but I literally have no judgment with clients.
Mhm.
And so I practice a lot and I'm going to continue practicing developing, but listening to where they're at and listening for what I can do to help, what connections I can make, what tools I can connect them to, or what questions a lot of time or questions or words they need to help describe where they're at. Because a lot of times I found with clients is they're feeling this thing. And this thing takes this long journey of trying to describe what it is. But in my mind comes a word that, and I tell them, this is the word that's coming to mind for me. This may or may not be your word. But I have yet to have someone go, yeah, no, that's not it. And it would be like, yes, that describes it. And so I think that clarity that people get in that moment with that word, then you have something that you have clarity on what it is. Now you can start doing something about it, or
Right.
have relief and not angst about trying to figure out what is this thing.
Right. So being open. So basically, walking into a conversation in a relationship, totally open to the possibility of whatever it is for them, no judgment, like you said, really immersing yourself in it and through that saying, this is what I think it is, and giving that to them as a gift.
Yeah, it's one piece of it, and then sharing observations, because I mean I coach people that are very minimal stuff, just going through life stuff. It's interesting when people ask, well, you're an executive coach, a leadership coach, a life coach, and I said, here's the reality. They're all similar because we're still dealing with people. So I've yet to coach an executive that their behaviors in life doesn't enter into why we're showing up the way we are. Right. Or someone around a life coaching thing that it doesn't enter into what are your aspirations, that inevitably comes in what they want to do with career. And so I think a lot of it for me, when I think about that, is just different levels of leadership, right? And so when I meet with executive leaders, it's still me, but it's a different presence. Then maybe I'll show up with someone middle management that is, up and coming, aspirational for stuff, or somebody that it's a coaching / mentor relationship. So I think a lot of it is just trying to meet people where they're at.
Gotcha.
And not being so prescriptive in a definition of coach that an ICF, I'm sorry, that we just stay in that lane, but literally you can meet people where they're at. And
yeah, the new the new standards that have come out, right,
yeah.
are, I think, a much more adaptive to that, right?
I would agree.
And flexible to meet people where they are.
Yeah.
So you talk a lot of other people, and you were sharing earlier that you arrived last night, so you're busy. You just came back from a business trip last night. So what do you do to practice self-care? Take care of yourself.
So there's a few things. And it was so funny. I just did an activity on values with a group, and my number one value was happiness. And so for me, it's about getting my own place in the right headspace. I practice gratitude. And that will shift from this I'm exhausted, victim, poor me, woe is me kind of mode to instantly up above. And I'm intentional about when I get up in the morning and I tell myself today's going to be a great day. And so I think for me, number one is just that headspace and mindset where I come from. And then practice at night. I'll listen to calming stories and stuff. And then I try and get 8 hours of sleep, 7 to 8 hours of sleep. And I didn't think it was that valuable before, but that's the time that my body resets and the brain goes through and does all that stuff. And so it's super important that the running and especially as coaches, we're giving to other people, and we don't want to take on that stuff. And so it's, the basics, right? Eating right, exercising. And I don't mean I'm not at the gym for 45 minutes. I'll do 15 minutes on the mirror. Okay.
Oh, nice.
But I think it's those, it's a mentor of mine told me, she said, what's a little bit better look like? That was her question. And so for me to live my life, it's those little bit better things that I try and do to create balance so that, I can stay in it.
Yeah. Awesome. I heard gratefulness, good night's
Yeah.
sleep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The basic boring stuff, right?
Some simple self-care, like this morning. You're right. I did 20 minutes on the Peloton. That's what I had. So I did 20 minutes. I feel great. Right.
Yes.
Doesn't
Well,
take
then, and that
an
you don't
hour.
go, I only did 20, but you go, I did 20 minutes.
I did 20. Awesome.
Exactly. So I think it's those things too. It's like glasses half full, celebrate what you did do, which is 15 minutes, 20 minutes more than you would have done had you done nothing.
That's right.
And then you don't have the guilt or the, oh my God, I need to, I should have. Just go do it, because it takes so much less time than what we think.
Totally. Great lessons, great reminders for us all, So, I don't know. I look at coaching a lot like, we're helping, shape, people and helping improve the world, the future of our world, right? Through our coaching individually, one person at a time, right? So, I'm curious if you have a greatest hope or for the future, like is there something you're looking out there going, gosh, this is just so positive about this for the future.
Hope for the future or hope around how I can help?
Either one,
okay,
Michelle, I'm curious. Yeah.
When you were talking about that, this is where my brain went, is that a lot of times the barriers to leadership development, successfully navigating through change, which by the way, I don't think anyone on the planet hasn't been exposed to change, let alone change fatigue. And that's the other thing, I'm certified in ProSci, but I try, and I say that because I absolutely love the intuitive nature of the ADKAR model and the awareness that we're all going through a change journey. So ADKAR is the acronym for awareness. We understand why the change is needed. Desire, we make the personal decision to step in and do it. Knowledge, we know what's expected of us and what the change is. Ability, we basically have everything we need to succeed in the post-change world. And reinforcement, the stuff is in place where we don't go back to the old way. It's so easy to say those words and what they mean. The more challenging part is to create the capabilities and practice the behaviors. And if you're a people leader, to support your teams, yourself and your teams through change, which I was a leader during COVID and when it hit, and I had 16 direct reports, and it was a very draining experience. And so when you talk about future and my hope for the future, I try and look at what I can do and control in that. And my hope is that I start creating platforms or touch points for leaders, and leaders, by the way, aren't titles, leaders to stay connected and get that help that they need in bite-sized pieces. And maybe it's, 30-minute every other week touch point that you can come together and maybe there's a mini teach on something, or there's a time that you can get some coaching around challenges, but this is a group setting, which makes the price point so much lower.
Oh, right.
So that price isn't the barrier to start getting help, and then networking time. And so that's the thing that I look at, is that the infrastructure, the framework, or that those things are actually in place and humming along to where the number of people that we can help exponentially expands.
Wow. Okay. Yeah.
Anyway.
So moving from there's a big barrier sometimes, individual one-on-one coaching, only so many people can afford that. Right?
Exactly.
So by doing this group coaching, bringing people together, it brings it to more people, benefits everybody.
Well, and yeah, and this is where it came from, right? So I was going through, when I went through the UC Davis coaching program, we had one of the activities is you had a really brave person volunteer to be in front of the room and be coached by the instructor. And the rest of us are watching, right? So essentially fishbowl coaching, right? The person's in the middle and everybody's there.
Yeah.
So I developed Becoming the Leader You Want to Be virtual training that I do because I'm faculty with Catalysis, which are healthcare value organization. So healthcare organizations going through their lean journey belong to this. And so I'm faculty for them.
Oh, awesome.
So I developed this. It's a 3-part, like 2-hour and 15-minute training that leaders join. And so the third week, so mind you, you've got this cohort that's going through. So there's some level of trust now, right? We're not all strangers. But it's fishbowl coaching. And so it's around, there's change management. There's, basically elements of being a leader as coach, between presence and active listening and powerful questioning. And so we have this fishbowl coaching moment to where people can bring situations that maybe turned out less than ideal, stuff that they're trying to think through. And the other 16 people in the room are observers as people volunteer, and we coach or we talk about the scenario, whatever it may be. And we learn from that stuff. We learn from learning what other people have gone through or tips and tricks that they can do. And so there was really a lot of great feedback. And so how do I take that and just make it bigger and more opportunities for people to step in and learn?
Wow. No, that's huge.
That was it.
I love it. I love it. So obviously we're talking about coaching. Coaching brings you joy. Is there anything else, like something surprising that people watching and listening today, might be surprised that brings you joy? Yeah, it's embarrassing, right?
No, it's funny because there's the coaching thing, and then there's the and Rocco refers to it like Tim the Tool Man kind of thing. I love just building and projects and stuff like that, right? And so I'll give you an example of that. So in my house, I've collected tools to be able to do the stuff that I want to do, like a chop saw and a table saw and a planer and, all the tools and all the battery operated whatever's, my pole saw because I need to cut trees or whatever. I mean, it's my stuff.
Yeah.
And so I have a tile saw too, this old clunky tile saw that I bought, big monster of a thing. But I collected, so my front patio area is concrete. And so I wanted to do brick pavers. And so for about 2.5 years, I collected bricks from Facebook Marketplace, free bricks, people giving them away. Huge pile because I needed over 1,500 of these pavers to be able to do it. And so I could get 4 pavers out of 1 brick. So I spent the time collecting those, cutting pavers down. I had enough. A friend of mine who helped me when I gutted my house, he came out and showed me how to start doing it. It's a lot of stuff I don't know how to do, but I'm willing to learn. And so we would do that. I put the pavers down. We, did the mortar grout in between and stuff, and it's done and it looks awesome. And so these kind of projects, now I'm redoing my chain link fence to be a different kind of fence. So for me, it's the DIY stuff, to where the yoga pants that have paint stains on them and the old t-shirt, I still have my hair and makeup done.
While you're working on it?
Yeah, no,
just in case the YouTube people show up and they want to say, hey, Michele, the life coach does her look at her doing her DIY projects. We want to create a YouTube station for this.
It's from my mom, and literally I get up every morning, shower, hair, makeup, everything's ready to go. And then I put the grubby crap on and out I go to sweat everything off.
Oh, hilarious.
So that would be the surprising thing that unless you know me, you're not necessarily going to know that about me.
Well, now we do.
Yes.
We do.
Yes.
No, it's been such a pleasure getting to know you, Michele. And this is, what we're trying to do in our chapter is network and grow and learn from each other. And so, thank you for being a great member of the chapter and welcome, joining me on the spotlight today and sharing your story with all the other members. It's fantastic. Well,
thanks for letting me chat, and I've enjoyed chatting with you, and have fun on your vacation. That will be a blast.
Oh, that's not going to be hard.
Okay.
It's not going to be hard at all. So super looking forward to that.
All right.
Well, thanks so much. We'll talk later.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Bye.